I'd like to call our meeting to order at 7:01. Mr. Robson, when you're ready, you can call the roll.
Dr. DeMarco?
Here.
Mr. Eckenrode? Here. Mrs. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Funk?
Here.
And Mrs. Newman?
Here, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We are so excited that our Falls Lennox friends are with us tonight. Thank you for coming. We're going to get you in 1 minute. We appreciate our virtual audience as well tonight. Thank you for watching. There is going to be a change in the agenda. Board members, items listed in category 6, C, D, E, and F. Those were separated from the consent agenda, and we will take action on those items each individually. And we will understand those items and take action on those items after the hearing of the public, before the consent agenda, okay? If that's agreeable with the board. Okay, great. So I will turn it over to Dr. Lloyd, and he will introduce our Falls Lennox friends.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Newman. I'm really excited about this. I could see the excitement that's just coming out from you guys. So this is essentially every month, generally, we have students and teachers and others come in and talk to the school board about different things that are happening within the school district. And so this month, some of our friends from Falls Lennox are here to talk about, it says in the agenda, that Falls Lennox has been focusing on well-being with the specific emphasis on social and emotional health. And there's been a number of different things I know that have happened this school year, some in the fall with the program that Ms. DeLuca started, along with a number of other things. So I am really excited, Ms. Williams, to hear what it is that you guys are going to talk about.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. As Dr. Lloyd said, through our benefits-based accountability work, we have been focusing this year on student well-being. And tonight, this evening, we have several staff members and students here. So I'm going to introduce everyone. We have Mrs. Jessica Carey, our assistant principal, Mrs. DeLuca, our school counselor, Mrs. Gommel, who is a member of our district leadership team, Mrs. Stacy Petro, DLT member, and Ms. Janine Dravenkar, who is also a DLT member. And then we have our amazing group of students here tonight. So I'll say your name and you can just kind of stand and give a wave. We have Amin. We have Enzo, Sylvia, Thomas, Kyle, Evelyn, Sutton, Natalie, and last but not least, Charlie. All right, so our staff is going to talk with you about the work that we've done, and then our students are going to teach our board members tonight about how they use the zones of regulation to identify their feelings, different strategies they've learned for dealing with big feelings, and then how they have learned to solve big and small problems. So we will get started. So why are we focusing on this? Well, obviously, our mission is to inspire and empower students, and we recognize that we are not going to get to any of the academics or get to anything until our students are supported socially and emotionally. And so really, in addition to student learning, we know that students must feel welcome, safe, heard, and valued in order to do their absolute best in school every day. And so really our our goal, in addition to obviously, preparing students for the future and all of the learning that's happening, is to support their social and emotional health and also include our families in this process. One of the reasons why we started with this pillar, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, is because we noticed an increase in the number of parents reaching out to us, specifically reaching out to Mrs. DeLuca, asking for support with their child at home, asking for support helping their child cope with anxiety and other big feelings that they were having. And then with that, at the beginning of the school year, during open house, we asked all of our families to tell us what their hopes and dreams are for their child for this school year. And then our staff took their responses and categorized them under the 7 pillars that we're working with through True Accountability. And these were many of the common themes that came up that connected with the well-being pillar. So these are exactly things that our families said they want for their child. And we had a lot of responses with student learning, but also with well-being. And so obviously our families send their child to school. They want them to gain self-confidence, be kind. They want them to appropriately express feelings and emotions. They want them to, show respect, enjoy school and feel welcome, increase social skills, and learn different calming strategies when they are having those big feelings. So, that's language directly from our parents, and things that they hope that their child will learn and will, achieve throughout the school year. Clicker.
Okay, so under the pillar of well-being, well, actually under all of the pillars, there are several benefits. So under the pillar of well-being, we have these 5. So the next step that we did was look deeply at each of these 5 benefits and think about what are we doing, is it working? The little code there, S stands for stay the course. So on safe, conducive learning spaces and positive mental attitudes, we felt like we were doing a good job. We've been doing positive growth mindset for a long time. We have a lot of great spaces for the kids. The W stands for change is warranted, which is kind of like, let's make some subtle changes. Let's keep doing what we're doing, but tweak it a little bit. So we thought friendships and student connections were going great, but we heard from the parents that they weren't understanding what we were offering. So we looked a little bit at that and respect for self and others. But the one we identified most, the C, stands for change is warranted, and that was social and emotional health. And then Stacy's going to tell you, oops, did I go the wrong way? More about that.
Okay, this looks a little different, a little unusual, and the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. But it really makes sense after we've done a couple of these. So we took the benefits, social and emotional health, and we looked at how are you going to realize this? How is it going to become a reality? And then we went over to evidence and looked at some of the things we're doing now and some of the things we want to incorporate to do. And that led to our actions. Some of the things we did recently this year that we have never done before was a family wellness night, which was a really cool opportunity for parents and students to come together and to review all the things in the language that we use at school. So the parents were aware of that. We also introduced books that went along with our word of the month. And we hadn't done that before. We hadn't done an actual lesson. We talked about it, we showcased it on the morning show, but we never did an actual lesson on it. And so we did that. We read books to the students based on that word of the month, and we really incorporated it to more of our daily routines. Morning meetings were beefed up. A lot of the things that we thought we were doing well, we just wanted to do better. We wanted to make sure we were adding things. We're getting a lot of parents involved in seeing those things that we've been doing. And we've been really enjoying the benefits of those activities as well. Janine is going to go into a little bit more detail.
We were already doing, I feel like, a lot of things to support the whole child at Falls Lenox. And we had sort of 3 different groups that are helping support that. One is Mrs. DeLuca, who you're going to meet in a minute. She does school counseling lessons once a month. She comes in and teaches the kids about strategies and big and small problems and positive self-talk. The next is our PBIS, which I'm sure you're familiar with, our 4 rules. Be safe, be responsible, be respectful, be kind, and giving a lot of positive supports for kids when we catch them doing those things. And like she said, we've added some things to that. The book vending machine was a really cute idea. There's a little wagon that goes around the building that stops at a door and knocks on the door and says, "This kid was caught doing the right thing. They're coming out to get a prize," and it's real cute. And then the last thing is we have support in our district through some home liaisons, a behavior specialist, and we partner with Ohio Guidestone so kids can get some therapy right at school. They don't have to miss school or leave the school to take advantage of that. And then some other things that we added this year was one of them was a 1-question survey. So 3 times a year, we just ask the kids, are you feeling welcome? Do you feel like you have friends? And the cool part about that is, I think we had like 95% of kids say they feel welcome every day or most days. And the few kids that didn't, those teachers could reach out to those kids and say, like, why don't you feel that way? You know, what can we do to support you? Or if you don't feel like you have friends, like, what can we do to help them feel that way? And we have something called Bulldog Buddies. I think it's retired. People from the retirement community come on Wednesday afternoons and give some of our kids that need a little TLC, some extra TLC. There's a positive peer group. That's once a month that the principals meet with some kids and say, what do you like best? What can we do different? So we're getting the kids' opinions as well. There's parent nights, there's parent surveys, and we have connections to outside resources for parents. And I think Mrs. DeLuca's next to show us about some of our lessons.
Now for the fun part, right? Okay, if you're helping explain PBIS, will you come up here? I think Enzo and Sylvia, are you on this page? Oh, Charlie is. Oh, come here. Okay, go back to that one page that you were just at. So we have our school rules, which are district-wide. We're going to kind of go through some of the things that we do, and we're going to teach about the zones of regulation and our conflict resolution strategies that we try. So who's telling our school rules? Are you telling the school rules? I forgot my paper for...
I think she's doing Word of the Month.
Yeah,
And then I'm doing school.
You tell everybody, what are our school rules? This is Enzo.
Our school rules is to be kind, safe, respectful, and responsible.
Very good. And we have the word of the month, which the ladies talked about a little bit, but our word of the month this month that we're focusing on is?
Respect.
Respect. And so all of the kids that I talked to haven't done their March lesson yet because we are still, midway through March, but each month we do a lesson highlighting that word of the month. There are things like sometimes there are school rules, like this time is respect, but they're also like integrity, perseverance, and great words like that. So now, part of following our school rules and our PBIS is our reward systems that we have in place. So first, the Bulldog Best. What's Bulldog Best?
The Bulldog Best is when you're selected on the morning show, you get called down to the front lobby, and there's a vending machine. You will get this coin, this customized coin. You go to the vending machine and put it in, put the numbers, and you get a book. This isn't just a library book. You get to keep this book.
And it's a really amazing thing. I apologize. The only picture I had of the book vending machine was when we first started it. We all have masks on. But the book vending machine is a pretty popular place, and we have it set up so that every kid will be able to visit the book vending machine each year. So those are selected by teachers. So the teachers select one kid each week that they feel was encompassing our school rules or our word of the month. Okay, now Bulldog Bucks. Tell them what those are.
That's a slip you fill out if you're caught following one of our school rules. And if your slip is read on the morning show, you get a visit from the Woot Woot Wagon.
What kind of prizes are on the Woot Woot Wagon?
There's stickers, pencils, candy.
Wow. And so this is a really fun thing. So we have a daily morning show that's broadcasted. The third graders run that show, and the adults that are on the show each day read about 10 Bulldog Bucks each day, and along with the Bulldog Best winners for the week. So that Woo Woo Wagon is a really popular thing. Okay, we'll do the next slide. Who has the little... Oh, perfect. Okay, so the zones of regulation, thank you very much. You guys can sit down. I'll have you come back up in a second. Okay, so the well-being pillar, we talked about social emotional health. The great thing about our school district is K-5, we've already used this program, the zones of regulation. So the point of the zones is that it highlights all the feelings and that all feelings are okay. And really, it's just like an organizer for different levels of energy and alertness we may have in our bodies. And so there's a need for all of the zones. There's specific times that are better to be in certain zones. The kids will tell you about that a little bit. So I am going to have them explain. So if you are talking about any of the zones, come on up. Okay, so the first zone, we kind of go like lowest energy to highest energy or highest level of alertness. So we're going to start with the blue zone. Kyle, can you tell us what you know about the blue zone?
There's 4 zones.
4 zones. What about the blue one?
What do you mean?
Tell us what the feel. You want to see? Can you see this better? Okay.
Yeah.
What are the feelings in the blue zone?
Sad, bored, tired, and sick.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when you feel sick, if it's at school, you usually want to tell the nurse.
Yeah. You would want to tell the nurse. You'd probably be in the blue zone, right? Yeah. When is it a perfect time to be in the blue zone?
When it's bedtime for tired.
Yeah, when it's bedtime, right? We need to have the blue zone sometimes. So when we're in the blue zone at bedtime, we don't need to change our zone. How about the green zone? Evelyn, what do you know about the green zone?
It's good to be in the green zone when when you're learning or you're working. The feelings you might feel in the green zone are happy, focused, calm, and proud. You have level energy in the green zone too.
Yeah, pretty level, calm energy. So when you're in the green zone, you don't usually have to change it too much, right? And then we have our yellow zone. Our energy's getting a little bigger.
When you're in the yellow zone, you might feel worried, frustrated, silly, or excited. And there's another emotion, you might be embarrassed. When you're in the yellow zone, it's good for playing with friends or playing a sport. And this is like really high level energy.
Yeah, your coaches probably wouldn't want you playing basketball or softball in the blue zone, right? Yeah, we want that little bit of higher energy. And then we have our red zone. And the red zone gets a bad rap, but really the red zone has a purpose too. But tell us, what do you know about the red zone?
The red zone has 4 feelings. Elated or overjoyed, panicked, angry, and terrified.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that you're in control of your body when you're in the red zone or you're not?
You are not in control.
Amin was thinking about quietly showing you what this might look like. Are you still thinking about doing that or not? Okay, go ahead. It might be. And I always use the example that, like, if Miss Williams came in and said, you actually, Mrs. DeLuca, need to go home and pack because we're sending you on a free trip to Hawaii, I might be in my red zone because I'm super overjoyed. I might even do a cartwheel in the middle of class, and that would be a normal response. So all of the zones are okay, and we move throughout the zones throughout the day. We can even be in more than one zone at one time. But well, when you invite a school counselor to a board meeting, you have to talk about feelings. So we are going to ask you guys how you might feel during some situations. Oh, I forgot something. Let's tell them how to calm their body or change their zone if they need to. So you guys can go back. Okay, if you're talking about a strategy, come on over. Okay, so we broke up some of our strategies that we practice at school, and our first 3 strategies are, yes?
Counting to 10, taking a break, and hand breathing. Counting to 10 is where you either start at 1 or 0, and you count all the way up to 10. You can find a quiet place, and you either count to 10 as many times as you need until you're ready to move on. Taking a break is where you go find a quiet and calm place to go and either do whatever you need to take a break, and you can stop when you're ready to move on. Finger breathing is where you take your hand and when you breathe in when you go up your finger, and then you breathe out when you go down your finger. Go in and out. In and out. In and out.
Very good, thank you. All right, we have a few more strategies. Who's doing the next ones? Thomas? Thank you, Natalie. Okay.
Belly breathing. It's when you put your hands on your belly and you breathe in and then you breathe out. And then we have inner coach. Use good talk, self-talk, and not mean negative talk. And then we have a fidget ball, which I have.
We have an example.
It's one of many ways you can use to calm yourself down.
The kids really like that fidgets are one of our calming strategies. Okay, and then we have 3 more. Sylvia?
We have drawing or writing, getting a drink, and birthday cake breathing. With drawing, sometimes if you're mad, you might want to draw on a piece of paper, like I do sometimes. And then to get a drink is to walk away from things and then think about something else and just get a drink and start over. And then you also have birthday cake breathing, where you breathe in the smell of your birthday cake and then blow out your candles and make a wish.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't feel better after that? Okay, so now for the slide that I promised, we are going to ask some situations how you might respond. So I have an example here. You're sick and you have to stay home for the entire weekend. So as an adult and with little kids and always on the run, if I was sick and had to cancel all my weekend plans, I might not be angry about that. I might be in the green zone about that. And I might be blue zone because I'm sick, and I might need to be in that blue zone because I probably need to rest, and that's what would be good for my body. So I am going to ask each one of you to come over and stand next to an adult. Mr. Robson, can you come back to you're in this. Mrs. Newman. Natalie, you want to go stand by Mrs. Goss or Dr. Goss? Right here. Okay. Yep. And you want to go see Dr. Lloyd? You want to see Miss Newman? Over here. Sylvia, you want to come over here? Okay. So everybody, did we miss somebody? Oh, maybe
And we were on a big trip and we got lost.
Yeah. Do you want to come over here instead? Okay. Okay, so
I would be in the yellow zone for sure.
this is what we want to find out. Maybe you already asked. Did you already ask this question? You're on a road trip with your family and you're lost. So kids, I want you to find out from your adult, what zone might they be in? And if they had to change their zone in order to safely drive, what would they do? What strategy would they use?
I think of all the things you guys were listing, I think I like the breathing techniques. That's usually what works for me.
Do you think, maybe we would stop, right, below the side of the road, do deep breaths, right? And after that, maybe think of a plan.
Okay, did anybody find out anything interesting?
How would you cope with being scared? Or what technique would you use?
All right, a couple of seconds, we'll finish this one up and then we'll give you your next one.
Okay.
Good job today, by the way.
Good?
That felt good. I like
Good job.
I like
Thank you.
Third graders, did anybody find out anything interesting from their adult? You want to share? What zone would Dr. Lloyd be in if he was lost?
He would be panicked.
This is
What,
what the
did he
yeah,
know
the-
what zone that was in? Did you teach him?
Yes. Red.
But I didn't
He's in
know
the
at
red
first, though,
zone.
right? Because I was like,
Yeah.
I'd be embarrassed.
Your heart
And
would
then,
probably
like,
be
I gotta be
racing
tough.
and,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It's
told,
like,
I
that's
told
yellow.
him that you drop it first.
Oh, you told him that one? Okay. Okay, let's try the next one.
Straight.
Oh, Sutton, you want to share? Did you learn anything interesting?
So my adult would probably be in the yellow zone,
Uh-huh.
being a little bit worried.
Oh, a little worried.
And they said they'd probably pull up their GPS.
Perfect. I think some of the kids said that too.
My adult said that they would be in two zones,
That happens, right? What two zones?
yellow and red.
Wow, you're a good listener. Okay, so how about you're in a restaurant and you drop your drink on the floor and it makes a big mess.
Is there a zone for being embarrassed?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, right there. I'm in the yellow zone.
What's the third one? I think I would
You know
actually,
what I
I'd
think
be,
I would do when I walked away?
I'd start off in the red. When somebody drops a drink, that's kind of like a,
Oh,
you know, like everybody jumps and like goes and looks for paper towels or something, like when it's and then I don't know. I think then I'd move to yellow.
like
you
if
know?
I get refills, I'm good to go, right?
Have you ever done that?
Maybe that's
Right? Yeah, we'll try one of the.
Uh-huh. And you have
Okay, a couple more seconds and then we'll find out some interesting things.
I think walking away would be a
if
great.
somebody else.
I think I'd start in the red and then I'd get to yellow once I realize what I had.
Yeah.
Okay, did you learn something interesting? What'd you learn? What zone?
My adult is in two zones, yellow and red.
Yeah. Would they be a little embarrassed?
Kind of.
Maybe angry?
No.
Did they need a strategy?
Yes.
Probably. You probably won't enjoy your dinner in the yellow or red, huh? Hey, did you learn anything interesting? What zone?
My adult would be a mix of more red,
Oh, yeah.
but a little bit of yellow,
Okay.
and would be worried and frustrated, and would walk away and take a breath for a second.
That's a good one. And we talked about that this organizer has, nice, neat four feelings in each zone, but really there's more zones. That's why Sutton brought up that embarrassment we probably would find in the yellow zone, thinking about like how quickly our heart beats and our breath is usually pretty quick. That was a sign that that's the yellow zone. Okay, last one. Your friend borrowed your car and now there is a scratch on it.
How'd you feel?
She's worried first.
That one I'm mad on that one first.
So I might be yellow. I would be angry. What zone is that?
What about you?
That red.
Sad.
What?
Don't break your rock. No. Mistakes happen, right? So I think we'd be angry at first, or at least I would be angry at first, just that it happened.
I'm
But
like,
nobody's trying to scratch you. You know,
what,
things can
what
be
do you
fixed,
recommend I do?
right? That's why you have insurance.
I need to find out what.
Right. Then you're angry, right?
But if I was angry, I might have to calm down first.
I would be.
Okay, a couple more seconds.
Yeah.
That is a good idea.
They make ways to do that, yeah. See, and that's why you don't gotta worry about it too much. It can be fixed.
Because maybe it was just
What else? What else?
and I couldn't imagine.
Okay, did anybody find out anything interesting?
You're right.
Enzo?
Furious.
She would do birthday cake.
Did you like the birthday cake breathing?
Yeah,
That's a good one.
and she did the finger breathing.
Oh, yeah. Those are really good breathing strategies. That helps. Did you learn anything interesting? I don't think we heard.
3 zones.
Three zones.
Wow. Be a mix in blue zone, red zone, and yellow zone. And he said he would use a lot of breathing to figure it out.
Depends on how much you love your car, right? Okay, we're gonna stop this because we have something completely different to show you. So we talk about regulating feelings. We do this in every classroom every year, kindergarten all the way to 3rd grade. And the other well-loved and really whole building has adopted it is our Kelso's Choices. So this is our conflict resolution. So we know we have small problems that happen. We have a guest sometimes during our Kelso's lessons.
Here comes Kelso now.
You guys use Kelso's choice.
Outstanding. I love
This
the
is
notion.
good. This is really good. Okay, so first, I know this is going to be really hard to focus on myself now, but first, before we talk about Kelso, we talk about big and small problems. So we make sure that kids understand the difference between big and small problems. And the Kelso only can help when it is a small problem that is usually a conflict between two children. And so Kelso gives us 9 pretty simple ways to solve. You have 3 toes on that foot, yeah. 9 ways. So, Kelso, go ahead, take it from here.
So building wide, we always ask the kids to try 2 Kelso's choices before they ask an adult for help. And so small problems on the playground, even in the classroom, if it ends up going to an adult, usually one of the first questions we ask are, what are the 2 Kelso's choices that you tried? So we have a couple scenarios. You want me? Okay, we'll go through each choice. Okay, so you can go to another game, talk it out with the friend, share and take turns, ignore it, walk away, tell them to stop, apologize. Oh, I could act these out. Make a deal, wait and cool off. That's all of them, but okay.
I'm gonna have to take the microphone back. I know when she's amping up. It's about to go.
Someone's in the yellow.
A little,
For sure.
yeah. Okay, so as we did with the zones, we want you guys to think about what might you do to solve some of these small problems. So one thing that I always talk about to the kids is this is not just a Falls Lennox skill, it's a life skill. And that all of these Kelso's choices are things that we use as adults, and you'll find that too when you're going through them. And so the more that we practice as a kid, obviously the more we strengthen these skills, and the better we are when we encounter small problems as an adult. So the first small problem is you and a friend want to go to lunch, but you can't agree on a restaurant. What Kelso's choices, 1 or 2 Kelso's choices, would you try?
So we heard all the Kelso's choices.
Right, go ahead. See what Mr. Zeller.
So I would go to Chick-fil-A. So then I go, okay.
Take turns.
You talk it out.
Do you want to go to D2? I want to go to
Could make it
Chick-fil-A.
feel like this time we'll go to the restaurant that you want to go to.
I like where you're thinking. We could do both. That's like making buck too, right? Yeah.
You could offer to pay. You're gonna pay for the meal. All right, that's fair.
Yeah, that one would be, we do both.
That's
So
funny.
we compromise. Compromise up there. Compromise.
All right.
That's
Yes,
kind of-
I'll
I don't know about you, but I'm not very picky at restaurants. So if somebody else has a strong feeling, I usually be like, just go to your place.
Share and make a deal. We could say we'll do
You
both.
picky eater? Are you? What's your favorite food?
Okay,
Pizza.
3 Kelso fingers, 2 Kelso fingers, 1 Kelso finger. Raise your hand, 3rd graders, if your adult said they would talk it out with their friend. Raise your hand if some of these don't fit. We talk about that. Some of them you don't even have to talk about because they don't fit the situation. What about, would anybody just ignore their friend and just not go to lunch at all? That probably wouldn't help.
He said he would just go to
Okay.
Chipotle, that he's not even.
He's like, go with that.
Okay, you can, we're supposed to like go together.
Okay.
Would you go to your place every night?
Let's see. I think the only other one, did anyone say they would make a deal? Like maybe my restaurant this time and your restaurant next time, or something like that? Yeah. Yeah, take turns. We know that's like kind of goes together. Share and take turns and make a deal. Okay, next one. You found out that one of your coworkers was talking about you behind your back.
I get talked about all the time. So
I'd ignore it.
that's not a new thing for me.
In the red zone.
We ignore that.
All right.
Yeah. That would be one of the things I would do.
I wouldn't. I just ignore it. Let them think what they want to think.
No, we don't do that. I don't know if it's cool enough.
I think it depends on what they said and who they said it to. And
Sometimes
if they keep saying, I would ignore it for because, you know, maybe they were having a bad day and they just said something mean to you. Or if they keep.
All right, a couple more seconds and we'll find out
Coworker.
what they thought. All right, someone's talking about you behind your back. Let's see. Probably not go to another game. That doesn't fit. Who raise your hand if they said talk it out? They would like use an I statement. We talk about those, sharing how you feel. Okay, not sharing and taking turns. Who said they would ignore it? Just let it go? Okay, yeah. Walk away is kind of like that. Who said they would tell them to stop? That would be hard, right? Yeah. The kids all had opinions about these too. Well, you wouldn't apologize for that. Let's see. Wait and cool off. Maybe wait and cool off before you did another Kelso's Choice. We have to do that sometimes. Okay, last one. You're trying to work and someone near you is tapping their pencil on the table. Really annoying. What would you do?
I'm in the red thumb style. What about you?
I would probably ignore it first, see if they would stop.
Oh, I think I'd tell them stop.
If they're not, they're just kind of. So sometimes people like I was doing this, and I didn't even know I was doing it. Right? So I
would
like,
try and ignore it if I could.
You're giving, no, I'm not. You're giving me money? All right. Deal. I'll take $10. Just for stopping my pencil? I want to start now.
He was walking away.
That's true. See, like,
Okay, a couple more seconds. We'll find out what we thought about this one.
Or ignore it.
all right, talk. And then ask them to stop. That's
Okay, raise your hand if your adult said they would talk it out. Would they say something? Okay. What about, would they just ignore it? Sometimes we can ignore those kinds of things. What about tell them to stop? We talk about this is not we talk about the way that we would tell somebody to stop. Like it's not effective to say it in a mean voice or in a rude way, but just to say that's bothering me, please stop. And I guess who thought they needed to wait? Anybody think they needed to wait and cool off? Or walk away? I guess we didn't talk about that one. That's kind of like ignore.
Mine said he would make a deal. He said if you don't stop tapping your pencil, then I'll break your pencil.
Okay, Mr. Zeller. Okay, I'll be coming back. I'll be coming back.
Mr. Zeller.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
he was in the red zone now.
It's his office in the basement.
It is in the basement.
Don't
yeah.
listen to him.
And it will remain there.
Yeah. Okay.
My adult
All right, Sutton wants to share what.
My adult felt like they should probably tell them to stop. And it's just like, hey, I'm trying to do some work here. You should probably do some of your own.
Corrective approach.
My adult said they make a deal. I'd be like, okay, stop tapping your pencil and I'll give you $10.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think this is pretty telling. Like, if you are an adult in this room and you could have used Kelso's Choice instruction when you were a child, like, raise your hand, right? Yeah. We all needed this, so we're very happy to have it. This is all from us. You want to take a bow? You guys did so great. Okay, one more comment.
My grown-up would talk, like, tell him to stop. But personally, me, I would, like, literally, I feel the same way because there's this Emmy kid. She has her elbow on my desk 24/7, and then she starts humming when I tell her to stop.
Oh, it's so hard. And
All right. Is that me
okay,
here?
yes.
Tonight?
And okay, so it's getting close to 8 o'clock, so the children need to go to bed. But if you try 2 Kelso's choices and they don't work, does it mean that there is no adult that's going to help you with your problem? No. It means if you try 2 Kelso's choices and you're still having a problem, what should you do? What should you do, Evelyn?
You should ask an adult to help you.
You should, because then it's an ongoing problem, right? And you need an adult to help you. And so we talk about who those adults are at school, and then of course at home they have adults to talk to too. So thank you again. We appreciate your attention.
Good job, guys. Kyle? No. One up. Here. This is not even it's not a cool pencil. I'd give it to you.
You were on the clock till
Bulldog pencil. Get, look, go get in a picture. Give me my pencil back.
One is behind, like in the back. Oh. You guys go over there. I'll go over there. Do you need a stool?
You might. You might. Get out, Justin.
Don't bounce in the picture. Your face will be
Oh,
blurry. Awesome, guys. Okay, just smile. I mean, smile.
Thank you. Have a good night, friends.
All right, Funny's good.
No. I don't know.
Good job, guys.
Good job.
Hi, thank you so much, Enzo. It was nice meeting you.
I would break the pencil.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Oh, that's funny.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Jess. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job. Whatever age you
All right, that injected a little joy into the.
That was nice.
And when you get the whole like.
We really revealed you got a lot of stuff to work
I
for.
did not. This is the whole benefits-based accountability, like that, and then how does it look like you're running a program in order to.
She's like my adult.
Okay, we're gonna move on with our meeting now. We'll start with our administrative reports. PTA is up first. Mrs. Kruger. You gotta come front and center. We need to give her a microphone. I know.
So, Brian, I'm going to help you out and give you a shameless plug. If you don't want to sub for these children, you're crazy because they're so much fun. So I have Allison here, who's our early childhood president. I'm going to let her go first.
Yeah, so right now in OEC, we are actually on Sunday, we're going to learn about maple sugaring at the Metro Parks. So that's really cool. We have 2 group sessions there. We're going to be building a terrarium later this week with the kids. And then we have Safety Town in full swing right now. We have about 85 kids signed up. So that's about halfway to our 100% goal that we need. And then we are looking at replacing about 4 buildings in the little Safety Town property, so we're working through all that right now. And I think Oh, the only other thing that we're doing, we are switching it up this year and doing a big end of year celebration for our PTA unit. So that's going to be at OFIS, and we're going to be using the outdoor area and having a big cool party, bunch of different carnival games and things like that for the kids. So it's going to be really fun.
Thanks. All right, I'm just going to do a quick wrap up for everybody else. So we have about 2,000 members across the district for our PTAs. March was our Right to Read week in most of our buildings, the younger kids. They do like a week-long push on reading. We have some authors come in and do some assemblies with the kids, which they love. The students all receive a free book for the week from PTA. And we also sponsor the book fairs from Scholastic, which is always fun. I got to work at Falls Lenox selling books, and it was super fun. We've got lots of fundraisers happening to pay for spring field trips and activities. The high school is doing their annual talent show. It's been on vacation for a couple of years. They are bringing it back. It's April 1st. It's going to be amazing. And scholarships, we're working on scholarships for seniors. Last year we gave out over $10,000 in scholarships to seniors. So we're going through all the applications right now and choosing our seniors. So that's about it. Any questions? Yeah. Oh.
Right around you. Did you reach out to Polaris for help with the buildings?
Yeah, so that's gonna be next. That we went today, the committee chair and I, who's also our vice president of the OEC. We went and looked at everything today, we took some photos, so we're gonna get that ball rolling. We also have some really eager dads that wanna do that, so, we'll put them to work. Not that they don't have enough to do.
They already did some work last year for us, and they're gonna finish this year.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, guys.
Dr. DeMarco, Polaris update?
A couple things that we just met on Tuesday night, and I have the updated enrollment numbers as of maybe Monday, I think, broken down by program and then broken down by district, and then the percent of population that apply. This is the sophomore class applying for next year, as well as the number of students accepted. So they are looking at maybe staying more in touch with those kids that at this point are saying, yes, I want to go, to make sure that they actually matriculate into the program, or that they find out why, so that come August, we don't say, why did 40 kids drop out? We kind of know ahead of time what's going on. So I have that here if anybody wants to see it. And then just a couple of notes, really two. One is that we had on our board agenda there the calendar for next year. So I wanted to draw that to everyone's attention so we can look for days that.
Well, we gave them ours. Are
Okay.
you talking about 23, 24?
Yeah.
So we gave them ours
We go
because
2 years out.
yeah,
We don't
because
go
they
1 year out.
weren't
Okay.
ready for theirs. So we gave
Okay.
them ours and said, hey, this is how we kind of have normally done it. I don't know if they still have their whole Thanksgiving week off.
I'm going to tell you that I think it was. I have a copy of it in here, so
Boy,
that's
that'd be grand.
why I wanted
So
to bring it to
that
your
is the
attention.
one
I
thing that we
recall
won't be doing. So
So I have a copy of that. I think it's in the board docs for Polaris, because it was in the files. So just so you know that that's out there, I can
great,
get
we
it to
can
you.
pull it up and at least in advance, kind of know what we're dealing with.
And then the other thing is, April 18th is the next Polaris board meeting, and that outstanding student dinner again this year. So I believe that they sent something to you, Dr. Lloyd, about trying to attend if you're available. It's when they recognize the kids from the satellite programs and the kids that are there from each district that have academic achievements. So their families come in, they award a bunch of.
I have not received anything
Okay.
yet.
Okay. I will forward that to you as well. I think I got something on Monday or
I see what you're doing.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, so otherwise, not a lot.
So what are the highlights of the enrollment? Can you just highlight a few, like, or if not, then maybe you could send it to us in an email
I can do that.
or something.
Our applications were 39% of our sophomore class that applied, 36% were accepted. So that's
Yeah.
94%.
36% of the sophomore class, or 36% of the.
36% of the sophomore class was
Okay.
accepted. That's 94% of those that applied that were accepted. It's a lot of math.
Yeah.
And then the program breakdown is in here, the capacity versus, a couple are right on par, a couple are over.
Any development with the last thing you said last month about the Lakewood bomb?
I believe that they have had some conversations with different individuals in
Okay.
different parts of the school district, and the different districts that go to Lakewood, so, the
Okay.
Lakewood Center. So, not a lot, but
Okay.
there's progress in conversations.
I'll do a recon mission.
I can share files that I have
Okay.
at home.
Yeah.
And they
Thanks.
all have a home public session.
Oh, I'm certain, yeah. I just,
That's all I have.
Yeah, I forget those meetings are public too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Got it. Any other questions for Dr. DeMarco? Mr. Zeller?
Good evening. So far, we've been able to develop solid candidate pools for our open positions at Falls Lennox. We had over 150 candidates for our elementary positions come in. Reviewed those resumes and selected people that we're going to conduct phone interviews with. We also had solid pools for the high school AP position and the ECC principal's position. We're making our way through those applications and getting ready to contact those who are coming in for interviews there. Really, given the teacher shortage and everything that is going on, our candidate pools have been pretty solid, other than an intervention specialist. And that's pretty consistent across the state. The pool that is the lowest for us right now is for the moderate to intensive position at the high school. So we're hoping to get some more applicants to fill in there. We have started working with the payroll office, with Brett's office, with Time Clock Plus. So we started that process. We've talked to you about that in the past, about transitioning to electronic timesheeting, just to increase in efficiency and cut down on any human error. So we're providing Time Clock Plus the information they need to help us build that system. Our goal there was to get the system up and running by July 1st. But we're ahead of schedule due to some of the work that we were able to get done prior to even meeting with them. So we're hoping that our summer casual labor, starting in June, we'll be able to start that system with them then. So we seem to be making good progress there. Today, we had a camera meeting at Kent State. It used to be that we would meet at the ESC, Northeast Ohio ESC.
what's camera?
Camera, Cleveland Area Minority Educator Recruitment Association, which our district is a part of. Used to be that we'd meet at the ESC, now we meet at the local colleges. This time it was at Kent State. Due to the DLT meeting, I sent Lainey from our office, so she represented the district today at the camera meeting. It's an opportunity for us to meet the students who are graduating and get our district out there and let them know of the positions that we have available in the district. So that was a successful opportunity for us. In the past, we've been to Cleveland State and we've been to Akron. With Cleveland State, we've been able to, through those connections, have some of those students have applied for positions within the district. So so far it's been successful for us. We have upcoming job fairs at Bowling Green and UT. So again, we're going to keep looking for candidates for our open positions to hopefully get the best teachers in here. From Heath's office, the track resurfacing project is slated to begin after commencement. That's been quite the undertaking for him, but from what he has reported, it looks like it can be done with minimal interruption to any of the fall sports. So we're excited for that, to get the new track. We are currently looking for summer casual labor. We've had a number of people apply for those positions, but we can always use applicants in that area, and they will be our first test subjects for Time Clock Plus. And then on a positive note to end, Sam Chin from Food Service, he let us know that Feed Our Future Ohio recognized the food service department as one of 7 food service departments in the state for being local food rock stars for sourcing food and various resources from local businesses and local products. So we're able to provide our students healthier and locally produced food options. So we're one of 7 in the state. So it's a pretty good accomplishment there. So congratulations to Sam and what he's doing in food service. And that's what I have.
Any questions from the board? Thanks so much, Mr.
Can I add something? One of the things that you had asked for, Mrs. Newman, was kind of like a plus minus of staff, you know, coming in, who's retiring, and that sort of thing. So we will continue to work on that, and we'll get that to you guys as well, just so you know. I mean, there are a few retirements that are happening, and it's one thing to account for what's the FTE count, but I think another thing would be what's the salary plus benefits of the person who's retiring and leaving, and what's that burden versus the positions that are coming in. For instance, we have 2 teachers who are retiring at Falls on Ox that are full seniority with like 35 years or so, and we have 3 positions that are open over there. Those 2 plus another one. And so as we look to hire and look at our pool of 178 people, what's the total amount of what's exiting versus what's coming in?
Yeah.
We'll get those things to you guys as well.
And I know it's like you're in the thick of it right now, but you know, yes, at some point it would be the board should know,
absolutely
like,
will do that.
you know, where we ended up.
There are a good number of teachers who are open positions that we have. If those 3, you have, would have 5 over at, or 4 over at the ECC, plus an AP high school person, plus an ECC principal that we're looking at. And there are other intervention specialist positions that are scattered throughout the district as well. So there's more than one would think.
And we do have a couple of people that they have indicated possibly retiring, but they haven't formally followed through.
For this year or for next year?
For the end of this,
For the end of this year.
Some that will be shockers for you. Not shockers, like, oh, wow, it's time.
Wow, okay.
Like legacy kind of people.
Okay. I thought they had to do that sooner, but.
They have to do it sooner if they want to get the incentive, but if they don't want to get the incentive, they don't have to do it.
Yeah, that's up to them. Okay, more to come. Thank you so much. Mrs. Cogan.
Hi, everyone. It's hard to believe that it is March. State testing, the required state, Ohio State tests, will start in about 2 weeks here. Our district starts with English language arts prior to spring break, and then when we come back from spring break, you'll see students taking math, social studies, and science. Remember, those are course specific, but it does impact our 3rd through potential 12th graders, depending on when they're taking government. CPM, I think I mentioned this before, that college preparatory mathematics had begun to revise. So it's not a complete new program, but they've done some revisions to their books. We've been holding off on determining whether or not we're going to renew with them, you know, to determine what these changes were going to be. We just got notice that they have given us a pin where we can now go in. So they have released the updated revision. So the math department will be receiving that in an email from me, and then we'll get together to look at the new CPM books and content and determine our next steps with that. Spanish and French, 6 through 12, they're reviewing their resources. They are up for a curriculum adoption. So they're working on that over the next month or so. Scheduling just finished up at the high school. And when I say scheduling just finished up, what I really mean is that student selections have been made, and they have started the process now of kind of seeing how many students have indicated an interest in certain courses, and then started to think about current staffing, how many will be in each of those sections. So the way that process works is the high school kind of does that first part that I just mentioned, and then they come over to central office, work with us, kind of show us what those numbers look like. We look at the trends, where are students going, you know, what does that look like as far as numbers, and then we make some decisions moving forward on staffing. We're not anticipating anything. You you know, our numbers look the same as far as the number of students. You know, but it's always one of those things where you start to look and you're like, okay, maybe this needs to change, or maybe we need to look at something different. So we'll keep you posted if there are any changes.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. Robson, when you're ready, you're up.
Thank you. For the month of February, our revenue was under plan by $856,000. If you remember last month, we talked about some of the timing of the advances received from both Lorraine and Cuyahoga counties on real estate collections, which was the case in January. We did catch up from a January perspective. We're still a little bit behind from February, but when I look at the February settlement sheet on the advance side, and then what we received for March, that reflects that we're on track for what we projected to receive for this year. So we're going to catch up at the end of month with what we projected, but through February we're still just a little bit light based on what we had estimated for this time of year. Revenues for the year, we're down $543,000 compared to the same period last year. Again, that has to do with the timing of the advances for this year. Fiscal year to date, by comparison, we're down $2.7 million, again, for that same reason. Conspiracy theorists in my colleagues' circle would claim that this has to do with rising interest rates and counties wanting to hold on to that money a little bit longer and take benefit of that. I don't subscribe to that, but that's a lot of the discussion that's going on out there right now too. It's a strategy. I know the state has practiced that from time to time. I don't have any reason to believe that Cuyahoga County does that, but it's a theory that's out there. Expenditures are under plan for the month of February, good thing, by $780,000. Expenditures are up $270,000 over the same period last year and are $2.8 million higher fiscal year to date by comparison for fiscal year 22. Expected, right? Salaries and benefits go up year to year, and purchase services are up as well comparatively. General fund cash balance at month end February was $16.1 million compared to $17.8 for the same period last year. Our projected fiscal year-end cash balance remains slightly ahead of plan, currently $556,000. So we're doing good, you know, by our plan. We're right where we think we should be. Pay School Central, we implemented that product the 1st of March. That was a very smooth transition. We had some good feedback from parents. They actually like the product. It's newer, it's more modern, has a few more bells and whistles to it than what the old Easy Pay did. I'd like to express my thanks to Kim Petrina for the communication plan that she had in place with staff, parents. Multiple messages went out. I think everybody was very well informed as to when the changes were going to take place, how to set your accounts up, what to expect to see, and it was, you know, she was right on target. I'd also like to thank Sam Chin, Holly McFadden, Karen Silo, Kathy Meadows, Eileen Albert, Megan Santiago, Brittany Vavro, Allison Wufu, Debbie Bush, and Tim Wufu. That's a long list, and I'm sure I forgot somebody, but they all played an integral part in the testing and validation that everything went in properly. Payments were coming in, payments were being posted. The data that we were seeing and that the parents were seeing was all proper, and it's a process, and they all did a very nice job in making sure that happened. We were a little concerned going into it. Some tables weren't showing. Tim, you know, flipped the switch and made good things happen. That's the way Tim is. He did a nice job with that. So thank you to that whole team of people. 5-year forecast is getting to be that time again, so we're working with Chris Moore. And again, this is going to present some challenges to us. We're once again heading into a new biennium budget at the state. A lot of odd things coming down the pike once again. a lot of moving pieces. You got House Bill 1 coming down.
Universal vouchers.
Universal vouchers, student wellness and success. Who knows what's coming out? And we're not going to know. We're not going to know until June 30th.
Is that when that's when
it's going to be finalized.
If they get it done then?
It has to be. It has to be
Well,
done
they
then.
said, remember, like the last time they were like in
So
violation.
the last time it was because they implemented an entirely new funding formula.
Right.
So the budget was in place, but the formula was fouled up. And it took them until, February to get that right. We were still getting payments, but they weren't the right payments, and it took them until February to get caught up. A lot of webinars going on now that we're participating in, and I'm just thankful that we belong to OSBA and OASBO, and we're partners with K-12 and Frontline. That keeps us up to date on the changes that are coming down. And more to follow on that. But House Bill 1, we'll talk about that in a minute, is causing a lot of anxiety in our profession. Typically in March, the County Budget Commission, based on the tax budget that we approved back in January, they present that resolution for us to adopt. They've appealed to the state for an extension on that, which is going to be approved. So they've asked for that for their work to be extended until March, and then for our passage in May. So we typically see that in April. We're not going to see it until May, so it's going to be extended out a little bit. When it comes to us, if it comes to us beforehand, we'll bring it to you beforehand for the passage. That's the resolution that authorizes the county to assess and collect based on the effective tax rates that are out there. House Bill 1, sponsored by Adam Matthews, is the intent. The intent of the bill is to reduce taxes. That's one of the plans of the House. Good plan. But the way it was originally stated, is to, by his acknowledgement, wasn't thought out. It was just like, we're going to reduce taxes and we're going to reduce effective rates and here's what's going to happen. Well, the way it was stated was actually going to increase taxes of the property owner and reduce the amount that the local entities were going to collect. So there's still a lot of discussion that's going on that. You know, the Band-Aid solution was, well, let's just have the state make everybody whole. We saw what what happened in the public utility world when they did that. They eventually just did away with it and everybody lost millions of dollars on that deal too. So we want to stand by that. We want to be an active participant in that and not allow that to happen and be a voice against House Bill 1 in those matters. The way it stands now, if we run those simulations, the district stands to lose anywhere between $340,000 and $900,000 a year, although the taxpayers would pay more than what they're paying today, the way the language is today. It's an odd structure. Again, not thought out as to how that's all going to work. So a lot of changes to come in the language that's contained within House Bill 1. And we'll lobby with them to see how that plays out.
Where's House Bill 1 in its process?
It's had one hearing. I had a message from high school guidance too on scholarships from the board. How many and how much. So
yes.
If you want to think about that, maybe just get back to me. They're planning and getting their records together.
Yeah, so we're gonna need some information on that. And probably we're gonna need to make a decision. So we are gonna give scholarships, yes, right? We know this. What information we need and, is how many did we give last year, like, right? And how much did we get, right? So we donate our stipend back that we make for doing this work for the scholarships. And so But it changes every year based on how many meetings we have and things like that. So we just need a general idea of if there should be a record of what did we do the last 3 years? It usually ends up being the same, but it's somewhere between like 25 and 30 scholarships we give. I think they're $250 each, but I could be wrong. And so I need
I'll pull that up and
we need to be refreshed on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we update or talk about, I know we talked about it, the criteria when the application originally went out, that we wanted to make sure that they were inclusive of all of the different student groups and opportunity pathways?
Right.
Because we had talked about whether or not guidance would reach out to a few students.
We have an all-time high of the number of people
Oh,
who
wow,
have
okay.
applied for
Sounds like
scholarships
you did
at
get
the high
some
school.
people who would-
Absolutely. All-time
So,
Definitely not.
yeah, so who's ever communicating with guidance, whether it's you or someone in your department, we need to make, did we decide on, was it,
We didn't decide on a set amount. What we decided was that we would make sure some of those individuals who that aren't on the traditional college path would receive a scholarship. We
Okay.
didn't say we didn't,
right?
and we
Do
said
we-
kind of
so-
that it would depend
so,
on what came
right.
through.
So I guess what the board needs information on is, how many scholarships have we given over the last 3 years? It will be similar, and like if we gave 25 over the last 3 years, can we give 25 this year? And then we can say, we want half of those or 3/4 or whatever, then we can make a decision on how many of those we would want that are students that are pursuing something, a path different than just going to college. Yes? Are we good with that?
Yep.
So then this way, we can define it more. And then we can let guidance know that. But yes, but this needs to happen, like, because I know they're like in it now. Okay. Great. Is there anything else that you want to say, Mr. Robson? Great. Any questions for Brett from the board? Great. Dr. Lloyd?
So we're here so people can hear me. I just have a couple of things I wanted to talk about. The other day, a small group of administrators met with AVG, Syed from AVG, just as sort of a dress rehearsal for the master facilities plan that's being created. It's starting to become a little finalized. I think it's very comprehensive. It will go from what does the plumbing look like all the way to, what kind of technology do you need? What kind of roof do you need? Those sorts of things. And it will go from this building is beyond, or at least the recommended percentage of repair versus build new. So you'll get that for all of the different buildings. I think that it was a very interesting conversation that we had with them. And then I think, quite honestly, this will be.
Spoiler alerts.
I don't know if I want to do that, at least at this
Okay,
particular
that's
time. I mean, what's going to be interesting is this, and I think, as I think about the 4 bond issues that I've been a part of as the superintendent, and there were ones that were previous with other superintendents that I supported as well. I think the approach for this one is really going to be, here's the data that we have as it relates to the status of our buildings from really a soup to nuts, everything, and then taking that information out to the public and saying, here are your school buildings, here's the wear and tear on those buildings, and what do you want to do 15 to 20 years from now, and here's what it costs. And the problem with it as it relates to the cost of materials and things is that goes up 15% every year. And we're talking millions of dollars. And so I think one of the things I guess I'll preview what the board and the community will need to determine is, what is the scope of work? Do you want to build new? And if you don't, then what will the renovation look like? And where would it look where would it be? And what's the phase of that? Like, which grade levels are you looking at? They looked at all buildings. All of the buildings are discussed with the exception of OFIS because it's the newest building. But there's a solution for a board office as well that would be attached to another building, and then the bus garage as well. So, it ranges from $7 million per facility up through 39 million. There are 6 facilities.
What was the high school was 21.9.
21.9.
Yeah.
The high school is also, because this is a master facility plan, so they're looking at everything. So the high school is in there as well. The number for the high school is not $21.9 million. It's less than that, but it's a double-digit million.
I would assume.
And ultimately, it will be, so we have this data, and then we're going to go out and we're going to schedule focus groups, and we're going to talk to people and say, what kind of schools do you want in your community? What are you willing to pay for? Some people, and we'll debate all of that, right? Some people will want new, some people will want renovations, and some people don't want anything. They don't want you to take their money. And so we'll have to talk about ultimately where we're going to land on those things, because kids have to go to school, kids have to go to school buildings, and you have to renovate places, right? The highest ticket items are HVAC and technology. HVAC is the highest item. So it's because the impact it has overall. So I think it will be a fascinating conversation with you, and then an even more fascinating conversation with the community. And really, it's not going to be, we want you to pass this $21.9 million bond issue so that we can do this. It's going to be, here are your school buildings, here's the information that we found about what it costs to build new, to renovate, and so forth. What kind of school district do you want? And you have that conversation, quite honestly, for a year. Find out what people are willing to support or not support. I think it's a different kind of conversation, and that's what I've learned from previous bond issues that I've been part of. Different kind of conversation. So that'll be cool. That's a 15 to 20 year plan really as well. So it will outlast, I think, anybody who's at this table. It'll outlast me. Just a couple highlights. We have a key communicators meeting on the 29th of March. So I'm looking forward to that. Haven't created an agenda yet for that. But that will happen. We have some new members, so I'm pleased about that. And then for the board's consideration is this joining or discussion of joining the universal voucher lawsuit resolution that's on there. And so if you remember the conversation that the board and the administration had with Bill Phyllis and others was there's one pot of money to fund our state for 3 purposes: incarcerate, medicate, and educate. Those are the 3 things that are there. As it relates to the educate part, there is language in the Ohio Constitution that requires that it fund a common public school system. And there are other pieces of language within there, some of which are being followed, and some of which are not being followed, and some of which people have gotten in trouble for it, but they've done nothing. We're at the point now where there are probably, I think, 4 or 5 different subsidiary systems that are funded with that one bucket that's saved for education. The Constitution would say that all of that should go to public schools because that's the purpose, because it says that should happen. There was a voucher system, or has been a voucher system for quite some time, that was based on income levels of parents. So if a parent qualified for a voucher, and say a full voucher, and wanted to send their student to St. Ignatius, which is about, I'm using them because that's one in our area that people go to, it costs about $20,000 a year to go to St. Ignatius. The voucher is for $7,500. Some families feel that they would want to pay the high taxes in Olmsted Falls and send their kid to St. Ignatius. That's fine if they want to do that. I don't get it, but that's what they want to do. They would get that $7,500 if they qualified as an income level, and then they would figure out a way, I guess, to make up the difference. If the universal voucher idea goes through, and it is supported by the leadership who's currently in the majority, the supermajority down in Columbus, that will no longer be income-based, but it will be anybody who currently is attending, and I'll just use these examples, Magnificat, St. Ignatius, St. Ed's, and any other saint or anything else of somebody attending a school who's currently at that school could take $7,500 and have their education partially subsidized. And I guess that would be a little easier for me if a student who lives on my street on Worthington Lane and attends Olmsted Falls High School because that's their choice, and they also got $7,500. But they don't get $7,500. They get $3,300. And that to me doesn't seem very fair. So as it was before, when we kind of talked about the voucher lawsuit, there wasn't, a huge interest to do that. I will tell you again that there's one pot of money for education, and that pot of money, if they were to fund a universal voucher system, would be $1.1 billion. You would have people who have never stepped foot into certain school districts attending private, mostly religious schools get $7,500. And that to me is just unconscionable. I have no problem with people who want to my neighbors send their student, one goes to Ed's, the others go to St. Ignatius, the others go to our school district. That's fine. Send your student wherever it is that you want. There are certain things that we're not permitted to do by law within the context of the public school. And I totally understand that and I respect it. But don't assault that pot of money at $1.1 billion. So I'm looking forward to the discussion on that, what it is that you have to say, but you obviously know where I stand on it. So, all right, that's all I have. I'll take any questions if you have anything.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll go to the hearing of the public now. It looks like we have three people that would like to address the board. I'll go in order of who signed up first. Gary Sheckelberg, did I pronounce that right? I'm so sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. I'm wondering if we should give you a microphone because we definitely would like our virtual audience to hear what you have to say. So, thank you.
Okay, my name's Gary Schenkelberg. I'm the Community General Manager at Columbia Park Manufactured Home Community. I just have a few things that I'd like to mention here. Number one, I represent Columbia Park Manufactured Home Community. I received this letter notifying the community that the Board of Education intends to file a lawsuit to increase real estate taxes on our manufactured home community. The letter states that the board is proposing to consider a vote on the resolution at a public meeting of the Board of Education held on March 16th. So that's why I'm here tonight talking. Number two, the superintendent of this board refuted in writing that the school board is pursuing an increase in taxes. This was not accurate when written and is not accurate now, as the school district already has a lawsuit pending to increase the taxes for 2020. And now they are filing another lawsuit to increase the taxes for 2022. Number three, if the board prevails in its lawsuit to increase the community's real estate taxes, the community's ownership will have no choice but to pass down the increased taxes to our residents. While we have taken steps to mitigate the impact of the existing lawsuit on our residents, the increase sought by this new lawsuit compounds the hardship to our residents, many of whom are retired, and all who impose no burden on the school district. Number four, we have tried to open settlement talks with the board and even flew people in to meet with the treasurer and your attorney. We were told by the treasurer that the board wanted a fair result. We've provided you with appraisals and evidence to obtain a fair result. But since that meeting 3 months ago, nobody will return our calls or respond to our settlement offers despite numerous requests. This letter is the first time we've heard from the board since that meeting, and we do not interpret this letter as an olive branch seeking a fair result. I just want you to know that these lawsuits will impact approximately 1,400 residents and voters who live in the community of Columbia Park. We don't want any more lawsuits. We just want fair resolution. So, thank you.
Mr. Ed Dean.
Yeah, Mr. Robson, I want to give you copies of letters for each of these school board members, basically to refresh their memories. On the school board meeting of October of 21, I presented to the school board copies of codified state ordinances in respect to violation of state statutes of which you're subject to. Okay, they were violated by the Olmsted Falls School District. I then presented and reminded the school board on verbally and in my correspondence to the board of March 24th, 2022, please advise me on how you intend to address this. I request this information as a taxpayer and a concerned citizen wanting to see the best for the Olmsted Falls School District. I have not yet heard any answer or response. Now, I've been patient, but I think I deserve a response.
What are you looking for a response on? Is this?
The March 24th letter, I said, please advise how you want to address the violations of state codified laws.
The one about, is it the?
Okay.
Which law?
Read the letter again. Read the letter again and get back to me if you would, please.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So number two, there was once on the Olmsted Falls School Board page, email addresses of school board members. Now, your first school board members, your first responsibility is to the taxpayers, the people who voted you in. However, there's no email addresses on there. So if you would address that need to have email addresses of the school board members put on the web page. Also, someone told me that, Kelly, your email address is, the email address is known as Linda Parkowski. And Mr. Funk, you don't even have an email address. So, okay, but you need to have something on the website.
So we do, Mr. Dean. We have a board email address, and when.
No, see, there's
it comes to every board member.
It goes to, there's one, so imagine the email that you would send would come in, and then it goes to all the board members.
It goes automatically to all the board members.
Okay, but we need individual email
They're
addresses.
getting it. If you email the BOE, yeah.
Okay, because
It will go to every board member.
right, but some people want to contact individual board members individually, and that's what I'm saying, okay? So there's a need for that among a number of people who I've spoken with.
Okay.
And finally, I did submit.
Mr. Dean, what first initial, last name, @ofcs.net. There's nothing hidden in there at all.
Okay, could you send me?
I guess you could click it, but it's, so if I want to email Mr. Funk, it's jfunk@ofcs.net.
Okay,
jwalker@ofcs.net.
Would you like me to email that?
I would love that.
Okay, I have emailed you before, Mr. Dean, and you have not responded, and I had to give you a call, so I just want to make sure, if I email you, you will get it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Will you get it if I email you?
Yeah,
Okay.
what address do you have?
I don't.
HNewman@ofcs.net.
No,
For me?
I don't know, I'll have to look at
Yours.
my
Okay.
records, I'm not sure.
And-
It was on your application, for when you applied for the school
Right.
board position.
And the last item, quickie, is I presented today to the school board office
Right.
a request for clarification on what the school board policy is on pornography in the schools. Berea has it, pornography books, a listing of books, which I'm aware of, and because I'm in this community and I'm concerned for the kids and the parents and the morality, could you the board address that as far as what the school board policy is on pornographic literature specifically. And I put in that communique, which I presented to you, definitions by Webster, so you don't think I'm giving an interpretation of pornography. I'm concerned for the morality of the kids, their immature minds and their non-adult minds. And their kids in the community, I'm concerned about the morality of the community as well and their well-being.
Okay, we appreciate it. So just to be clear, this is what Mr. Dean is asking of the Board of Education. Please provide a public statement if the Olmsted Falls School District has, or anticipates having any pornographic accessibility within the school district. What is the existing district policy on pornography?
Right.
Okay, so number one, I don't know if we have a policy. If we do, we will forward it to you.
Okay.
All right, if we have a policy, we'll look it up and we'll forward it to you. Regarding your first statement, please provide a public statement. That, Mr. Dean, you are wasting our time with this type of letter.
How is that so?
There is absolutely no way that we are giving students accessibility to pornographic information at this school.
Berea is.
We're not Berea.
Okay, then that's
We're
what I want to
not
know.
Berea.
If you
And
have
so
nothing,
I'm sorry
if you,
that
I got the floor, ma'am. If you have nothing to hide, then a statement to that effect will clarify it. Unless
need to give a
you can't do that.
There's no statement. We
The
don't.
board
do
doesn't
it.
have a policy on pornography,
We probably.
and our kids are
I don't know
affected.
it off the top of my head, and we'll send it to you.
It was my floor, but you got to have a policy. That's part of what I'm paying for to the district.
This is a waste of our time, Mr. Dean.
No,
Thank
you're a
you.
waste of your own time.
Thank you.
You interrupted my
Your 5 minutes are up. Thank you. Our next person is Mr. Frank Boyman.
Good evening, Board. President Newman and Superintendent Lloyd, thank you for allowing me to speak with the Board tonight. I'm just here just kind of refresh our memories, and I think we need Kelso in the room. But a few months ago, I stood on the floor asking for understanding. And you know what's going on in Columbia Park. You know how it's hurting the homeowners. I represent members of the Homeowners and Tenants Association. And we have been assured by the Chief Operating Officer for Windward Communities that they want to talk with the school board or the attorneys to come up with a plan that it's good for the schools and it's good for the residents. That's the only reason why I'm here, because I'm basing my comment today from Chuck Crook, who's the Chief Operating Officer from Windward Communities. And he wants to meet with the board or the attorneys to offer some solution so it's a win-win for both parties. And that's all I'm going to talk about on that subject. But this is my second or third board meeting, and every meeting I come to, I go away with something. Today, I can remember when I was a kid this high, upsetting my parents, and my mother would tell my dad, hey, you got to count to 10. You know, and that just come around tonight and just came back. Full circle. The full circle through 2 or 3 generations. So I think what you guys are doing with the schools, I'm very pleased from what I'm hearing. Being on the Key Communicators Club, I get some information, and I'm pleased with what I see. I think there could be some changes, but for the most part, I'm pleased being a senior representing Columbia Park, and I know we got a job ahead of us. You know, most of us are concerned about the school district. You know, these are the kids that are going to lead our township in the future, and we got to give them the tools that they need to be successful. But please do your due diligence, and if you haven't reached out to Windward Communities, please do so. You know, we need that understanding, and we need that something that we can build our hopes on. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Oh, okay. We're just gonna, stop for 1 second. So Mr. Eckenrode, he'll be right back. So, we're just gonna take a short break. Yes, a recess. Do we need to, do you wanna go into, do you wanna take a recess? A motion to it? Okay, I'll accept a motion for a brief 5-minute recess. So you can call the roll when you're ready.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Dr. DeMarco? Mr. Funk?
Yes.
And Mrs. Newman?
Yes. Okay, 5-minute recess. And then we are going to go into items 6, C, D, E, and F, which is what you're here for, Mr. Pointman, and your friends from Columbia Park. You need a hand signal. We need it. You need a hand signal.
Oh, fun.
Okay, so, Tom Conzer is here tonight for the boards, for the board to sort of, perhaps, walk us through, because this is a brand new thing that we're all doing. All school boards are doing it across the state because it's a law now to pass these resolutions, regarding, property assessment, valuations, and things. So, how should we, so we have to take action, yes?
Correct. So we have 4 resolutions, 4 separate resolutions. We take action on each 4 of them on their own. The first one is in reference to parcel ID 219-04-018. And I don't know if, do we want to talk about those individually? Tom, I think that would be the best approach. And you should have a copy of the complaints.
We provided copies of the resolution.
Right.
Resolution.
Yeah.
As this board knows from past discussions, what the school district does is it reviews sales of property occurring within the district, because the state real estate tax law and the Ohio Supreme Court has said that the best way to value property, the fairest way to value real estate property for real estate tax purposes, is to use a sale of the property if the sale is between a willing buyer and a willing seller and they're not related, because that says somebody who owns the property is willing to give it up for this amount of money, and somebody who wants the property is willing to pay that amount of money for the property. So that's the best way to determine what the property is really worth. So we look through those sales each year, and we look to see if any property sells for a value that is substantially higher than what the fiscal office put the property on the tax duplicate at. And when the fiscal office puts the property on the tax duplicate, they're using an appraisal methodology to try to value the property. So they may not have this actual sale before them. And when we identify a parcel of property that has sold for substantially higher than what the fiscal office has it on at, we file what's called a complaint, or we recommend that I recommend that we file a complaint with the Cuyahoga County or Lorain County Board of Revision. It's not a lawsuit, it's an administrative proceeding. And we're saying, we think the fiscal office or the county auditor has not properly valued this property, and we would like the Board of Revision to review it and see what the correct value is. And that's what this property is. This first property is the property on Columbia Road that the Dollar General store is on. When we looked at that property, we found that the fiscal office had put it on the tax duplicate. At a value of about $971,000. And it sold for a value of $1,685,000, approximately $700,000 higher than what the fiscal office had put it on the tax duplicate at. So when that occurs, what's happening is that property owner, if the value of the property should be 1.7 million and the auditor has it on at 900,000, the property owner is not paying its fair share of taxes. And what that also does is it means everyone else in the district has to pay more than their fair share of taxes. So it's an inequity. We request the Board of Revision in this complaint to look at the property and see if the value should be increased. The property owner is advised of the proceeding, and they can come into the Board of Revision and present reasons why the property value should not be increased. And then the Board of Revision makes a decision. Now, in this property, because of the discrepancy between the sale price and what the fiscal office has it on at, we're recommending that the Board of Education file one of these complaints with the Board of Revision, asking the Board of Revision to review the valuation of the property.
All right. Is everyone clear on what we're voting on?
Can maybe 30 seconds on fixed minutes? I'm not doing that right, but this would not actually increase dollars in the door for us. It would just make more fair the spread, right?
Excuse me. Primarily, yes.
For some of the millage versus other.
Right. In the first year, it might increase some dollars for the district because the millage was computed based on the lower value for that property. So if that value is increased, there will be some additional money from that property owner. But then in subsequent years, the millage is adjusted so it does not generate additional dollars for the district.
So the levies that we have out there are fixed dollar levies, and they're not going to generate, those levies are going to generate X number of dollars regardless, right? Inside millage is going to generate what based on value, on assessed values, right? So that can grow. You can grow from inside millage, but the levies that we have out there, the voted levies that we have out there, generate a fixed dollar amount.
Thank you.
And I like the way Tom presented this complaint is one for it's an administrative hearing. It's a process. The parties come together. They sit down with the Board of Revisions. They review the data, and the Board of Revisions determine was an error made or not, and you go from there. The party then has the right to appeal that decision with the Board of Tax Appeals, and they can present their the case to Columbus as well. So we're basing it on the sale data.
Okay, so we need to take action on this resolution, which is 6C. I'll accept a motion from the board for the approval of resolution 6C.
So moved.
Is there any further discussion from the board on this resolution? Mr. Robson, call the roll when you're ready.
Dr. Marco? Yes. Mr. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Fong?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
And Mrs. Newman?
Yes, motion carries. Okay, 6D. So, Tom, I'm just assuming that 6D is similar, right, to 6C, just a different property, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Same process, but it's a different property with different values.
right, okay. So does the board need any further information on the resolution for 6D? Okay, I'll accept a motion from the board for the approval of Resolution 60. Any other further discussion?
Was that Justin on the second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Robson, call the roll when you're ready.
Dr. DeMarco? Yes. Mr. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Funk?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Yes. And Mrs. Newman?
Yes, motion carries. Okay, 6E. If you could give us a little bit of explanation. And I don't know if 6E and F you should talk about together, or are they totally separate?
I could talk about them together. They need to be voted on
Yes, of
separately
course,
because
yes,
they are two
of
separate
course.
parcels. Okay.
So this would be the parcels that, or on what we heard from the folks that addressed the board this evening.
These are the two parcels that were purchased together in 2020. The Columbia Park Home Park and the Retail Strip Center, which is to the north of Columbia Park Homes. These were purchased in October of 2020 for a combined purchase price of $59,884,000. This is based on records that were filed with the county. At that time, those properties were on the tax duplicate at a combined price of approximately, I believe, $25 million. That figure may not be quite right. Can't recall it off the top of my head, but it was a substantial difference. In 2020, the school district filed a request with the Board of Revision to review the valuation of that parcel in light of this sale price, which was almost twice what the property was on the tax duplicate at. The Board of Revision held a hearing on that and increased the value of these two parcels to the sale price, allocating a portion of the sale price to the mobile home park and a portion of the sale price to the retail strip center. The property owner appealed that to the Board of Tax Appeals in Columbus. In that case is pending there at this time, awaiting review by the Board of Tax Appeals. In 2021, the county revalued all of the properties in the county, and in that revaluation process also revalued these two parcels of property. The Board of Education looked at that revaluation and recognized that the county had considered the sale when they valued the property, and they allocated the sale price between these two parcels. They didn't use the full sale price. They, in fact, lowered the price or the value of the properties from what the Board of Revision had set for 2020. We did not recommend any review of that process. We were accepted the valuation put on the properties by the county. The property owner filed a decrease complaint requesting a substantial decrease in the value of the mobile homes park. And it pursued that, but did not seek any adjustment of the retail strip center, because the county had given a substantial reduction in value on the retail strip center from what the Board of Revision had set for 2020. Now we are faced with the 2022 tax year. The property owner has created this administrative review, which is still in process. And a hearing is scheduled for the Board of Revision, but has not yet been held. Now, what the Board of Revision does for 2021 may impact future years. And what we are suggesting at this point is that since the county had dropped the value down between 20 and 21, and the property owner was not satisfied with that decrease, wants an even greater decrease, we're suggesting that we file a complaint asking that the Board of Revision recognize that sale for 2022 and put the properties on at the sale price. So that would be an increase over the 2021 value slightly. But it's a process to try to keep, since 20, it's kind of convoluted, but since 20 and 21 are still in play at the administrative level, we want to be in that process for the 2022 year. And these complaints are what allow us to participate in those proceedings. And we have had contact with the property owner's attorney regarding 20 and 21 and have had some discussions about trying to settle the values. In fact, we have agreed to continue some of these hearings to give everyone more time to try to resolve this matter. We've agreed with the property owner's attorney to continue the hearings at the Board of Revision and at the BTA. And we are right now having some appraisal information that the property owner has presented to us, reviewed by our own appraiser. So.
Thank you so much, Tom. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Conser? Thank you very much. That was exactly what we needed, at least what I needed. I'll speak for myself. Okay, I will accept a motion from the board for the approval of Resolution 6E. Is there any further discussion from the board on 6E? Mr. Robson, you can call the roll when you're ready.
Dr. DeMarco?
Yes.
Mr. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Funk?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Newman?
Yes, motion carries. I'll accept a motion from the board for acceptance of Resolution 6F. Any further discussion on 6F from the board? Mr. Robson, when you're ready, you can call the roll.
Dr. DeMarco?
Yes.
Mr. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Funk?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Newman?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Conser, for your detailed
You're welcome.
explanation. We appreciate Columbia Park being here this evening and speaking with the board. All right, now we're moving on to our consent agenda. So it's a little screwy, I think. There's in the consent agenda will be items 6A and B. And then items all in 7, and items in 5. So items in 5, 6A and B, and items in 7. I'll accept a motion from the board.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board on any of the items in the consent agenda? When you're ready, Mr. Robson, you can call the roll.
Dr. DeMarco?
Yes.
Mr. Eckenrode?
Yes.
Mr. Funk?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
And Mrs. Newman?
Yes, motion carries. Alrighty. Okay, so let's talk about the universal voucher bill. Things were sent to the board to review if you wanted and to understand more about it. Does anybody have questions? What discussion would the board like to engage in? So what we have here is a resolution if we choose to join the I'm so sorry. If we choose to join the initiative for the lawsuit, as well as what the financial obligation would be for us to join, which is listed there in the agenda, but for everyone's edification, it would cost us $5,248.50 to officially be part of the lawsuit, and that would be our financial obligation. So I guess I'll just start and say that for myself, the game has changed because it's now universal and everybody can take this voucher. And so